good.
Yes.
Yeah. All set? All right, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order for Tuesday, May 7th, 2019. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public input, first order of business. I see we have people on the agenda, but no public, so we'll skip that. Any last minute correspondence, Deanne? Nothing that we don't already have. For Selectmen's report, just a couple of things. I spent some time in Rocky Hill with CCM getting updated on current legislation today. As you guys know, the teacher's pension cost shift, which would, if approved by the legislature, would bill each town about 25% of the teacher's pension cost for that town. Not the legacy cost, but the current pension cost moving forward. It's very controversial. It is universally opposed by every town and city in the state. It's now opposed by CABE, CAPS, CEA, and CASBO, which is the Business Managers Association. The proposal did not make it through committee. It was stripped out of the education bill, and it was also stripped out of the appropriations bill in the finance committee. However, the governor is still trying to push it through, so you will hear more about that as the last few weeks of this legislative session go on. We're probably going to see a lot of last-minute bills over the next 3 or 4 weeks. There were 2 introduced last week that had public hearings and less than 48 hours later, and then were closed, and they have to do with appropriations. So it's getting to the point where they're going to try to jam things through at the very last minute. So I will keep you up to date on those. Tolls, which is another hot topic right now. I did see a presentation from Department of Transportation. The proposal that they have on the table right now would bill drivers about half of what other Eastern Seaboard states charge per mile. The average is about 6.9 cents per mile. What is being proposed is 4.4 cents per mile as a base rate, with a 30% discount for Connecticut drivers, to all Connecticut drivers if they got a Connecticut Easy Pass, and then another 20% on top of that, so a total of like a 52% discount for regular commuters. So if you trigger a toll more than 40 times a month, then your price would drop. However, at this point, I'm told that there's still insufficient votes in the House to pass this. So it's not dead, but it's questionable as to whether or not that's going to go through. There are other things pending too. There is a bill. It's being called the EverSource bill, although just because EverSource is a utility, they didn't sponsor it, although their lobbyists probably did. It would reduce the mill rate on all utility vehicles and equipment to a standard flat rate of 15 mils, no matter what town they're in. So seeing as how our mill rate is above 32, that would be several $1 million worth of tax hit. That did not survive committee either, so it doesn't look like that's going to move forward. But there's still some treacherous things out there that we'll have to keep an eye on. So
was that just for vehicles or for their property?
Their property.
Oh, because we get a big chunk.
We get a big chunk because we've got a substation.
Substation, yeah.
I think that the last time that substation was upgraded, I don't know what the total value is, but it increased by $5 million.
Yeah, I think they're the largest taxpayer in town right now.
Yeah, I think they are. Some other things, there's a bill that would increase sales tax on some items and then rebate parts of it back to municipalities. Don't know if that has any legs at this point. That's a relatively new one. And that's the update on Hartford right now.
How about the issue of pot?
That has run into trouble. It's hung up in committee because the committee wants to know how the revenue would be handled, how it would be licensed, and most importantly, how it would be measured. In other words, the law enforcement agencies need to have some kind of a device that can tell, a field device like a breathalyzer to tell
Right.
if a person is intoxicated with
Right.
marijuana. You can do that through a blood test, but the police really feel they need to have some kind of a field instrument that gives them an idea.
Right.
So it's questionable whether or not that's gonna go through, and I understand it's in trouble in Rhode Island as well.
And the last question is centered around vehicle tax, the automobile tax.
There is a bill that would eliminate the car tax,
Yeah.
and it actually wouldn't eliminate it, it would pull it out of the towns, have the state administer it, and using a flat mill rate. And that is also in trouble because the state hasn't, whoever sponsored the bill hasn't come up with a way to repay the town for in our case, that would be a $5 million revenue reduction to pull that out. So in theory, the bill would call for, I can't remember what they call it, some kind of a contingency fund to be created by the state that would then rebate monies back to the towns that lost revenue, but.
Maybe it's a short end of the stick.
Oh, yeah, there's a big question as to who gets to decide who gets what and how much
How
to
much?
get. So that's questionable whether that's gonna go through either. That's pretty much universally opposed even by the ruling party right now.
Okay.
So that's the update so far,
Okay.
and I'll keep sending you guys those bulletins when
Yeah.
I get them. All right, 2 minutes to approve. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Tuesday, April 2nd.
So moved.
I'll second. Were you there for that one, Paul?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Any changes? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. And a special meeting of Friday, May 3rd.
I wasn't there, so.
Okay, so I'll make,
second
all right, I'll make a motion, Paul seconded. And this was just, pulling together the loose ends on the religious display committee. Those in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye, that carries. Item number 6, this is actually worded a little funny. It's consideration of approval of bid waiver. This is actually consideration of construction or reconstruction, renovation of the Bethel Animal Shelter, and possibly a bid waiver as well. So we'll just proceed, because I'm not sure we're gonna vote on it tonight anyway, but I'd like to turn the floor
Okay.
over to Doug. If you just give us a brief outline of the need for this and what the plan is and who you propose to do it.
The facility was constructed, I believe, in the 1970s. It's a vintage metal beam on construction or concrete slab with metal side building. Its location, is what is causing the biggest issue. I guess some point in the distant past, they added a garage, which is the animal control officer's version of a police sally port. That's where they drive in, they secure that garage by bringing the door down, and then whatever creatures or critter they have in their vehicle, they can open the door with, without worrying about it running out the back door. That is actually a block structure, unlike the rest of the building, which is a metal frame, steel structure with metal sides. That block structure, again, is directly adjacent to the swamp area back there.
It's sinking.
And it is for sure settling in the direction of the swamp. It really has a point, it's at a point now where it's truly unsafe and needs to be condemned. Before we do that, we'd like to, although we did have the state in, let me backtrack. The state's been here a number of times over the years, and there's been a lot of discussion about this building, and we've received funding before I came on board, and looks like 2012 for $30,000 to build another garage next to it in place of it. And for whatever reason, there was a lot of reasons. At one point, one season, we looked at where there was discussions about combining with the agency across the street, potentially relocating the whole facility. so on and so forth. And in those years, not only did the back garage get bad, but there's also developed a roof leak. So the roof is leaking now, which is a major issue. There are some issues with the actual concrete slab. It doesn't drain properly. I think we may have had that corrected. Bottom line is that we've gotten the attention of the animal control officer from the state of Connecticut, who has written various warnings to us over the years, but is at a point now of actually enforcing those warnings. I met with the officer, I believe in January of this year. We had a good discussion. Actually, it may have been January, early February. And she was very grateful to hear from the town, and excited to hear that we were going to be doing something about some of the deficiencies. One of the things I did do for her was have a structural engineer evaluate not only the back garage, which we all know and inaccurately so, should be condemned and torn down, but the structural engineer also evaluated the existing building. And although he deemed it in safe condition, he did note some of the structural deficiencies there due to the settling of the, I guess it would be the eastern side, the back end of the building as well. So over the past couple of years, I've gotten quotations from various people. One of the quotations that I had gotten was for over $200,000 worth of work to that building. Because a lot of the siding is, everything needs to, it's due for a significant overhaul. And at the end of the day, we've got to whittle that down to a bare minimum of items, which is what you see before you today at the $91,710, which is based on a quotation for work that's in the packet for $83,372.67. I put a 10% contingency on it, which brought it up to the $91,710. We need to do something, and the plan before you represents kind of a bare minimum. There are some questions on the renovation still that we really won't have a better idea until we actually start looking at it more deeply, and chiefly the cost of the roof. Cost of the roof on your estimates at $25,000. That may need to be replaced in whole, which that number covers. Or there may be a less expensive way, depending on if there's some other alternatives, not to replacing, but putting a coating material on it that will only guarantee the roof for the next 10 years. But there may be some other issues up in those roofing panels that may necessitate that being.
Is that a steel roof or is that?
It's a steel roof, as I understand, yeah. And the water has gotten down since it's leaking into the insulation.
Yeah.
So if we get up there and we've determined that there's mold up there, we may have to replace the whole roofing kind, so.
Is the base of the building like what we had on the town garage, or is it just rusting away?
It's not so bad. There's some locations that are okay.
Mm-hmm.
The town garage, the issue over there is the salt.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah, over here, it's not so bad.
And you said the east end of the building is sort of sinking too?
Yes, there is, yeah. Not as severe, and it's not an unsafe situation, but it may be, it may require some additional structural supports inside, or some measures that help.
Do we have to renovate the kennels?
No.
No, okay.
One of the things in the process here is that we've got a lot of great value and feedback from the EasyIQC folks, which is a contract mechanism that I think we've had them in. They've had experience with other towns that have upgraded their dog pound facilities, and regardless of I shouldn't say that, towns our size, the going rate evidently for a new dog pound, because it's not just a dog pound, there's other codes that come into play with different animals.
Right.
is costing the towns upwards of $1 million. So we've looked at a lot of into some different options, and at the end of the day, the proposal before you was kind of like with a 10-year life expectancy, meaning that sometime the next 10 years, I think that the town would be better off if we found a new location for our dog pound facility, because if it's adjacent
To the swamp.
to the swamp,
Yeah.
there's some inland wetland issues that would really hamper any upgrades, and once we did any more upgrades to the building, we would then trigger some of the modern day code, and we would need to have so many square feet of runs on the outside that need to be paved, and some other issues and complexities that start to mount up in cost. And at that point, you're better off constructing a brand new facility, and then the question becomes, is that the best location in town for a new facility? Which are questions that I'm unable to truthfully answer.
Mhm.
Are these renovations approved by the state dog warden or
We have
whoever?
I made some phone calls today up to the state, was unable to get the officer, but the initial feedback we got is that this is very acceptable to them. And the biggest thing that they're looking at is that, we're not changing the innards, the inside of the dog pound, anything. We're just relocating this quote-unquote Sally part to the side of the existing structure.
Mhm.
Now, before any construct, if we move forward with this, before any construction starts, I would like an assurance from the state
Oh, absolutely.
people that,
By-
they're fine with this,
No, absolutely. Actually, I think the code is included with their warning. They have to actually approve it.
Okay.
So they've been
Okay.
sent copies of what you have been provided,
Mhm.
and we wouldn't be moving forward until we get their blessing.
Okay.
Yeah, but their feedback was, as long as they wanted to see on those drawings, for instance,
Yeah, we've got the map on the back.
the layout, and we're really not changing the layout at all.
Yeah.
We're just, this door location, there happens to be an open space there, so they're not gonna have anything to object to. But certainly we wouldn't be constructing anything moving forward without their blessing.
You know what's the, I don't know how to phrase this, how many animals have we taken a year? Did you get any numbers?
I didn't get the numbers. I mean, I can tell you that the facility is not overwhelmed, but neither is it unnecessary. There's a good turnover there. I would have to dig into a little bit to get an idea of what their level of use actually is, but
Doug, you said you had talked to some other contractors around it. Had anyone else bid this like this other company?
no, because this other company, when they came in and presented, they went through a very detailed estimation of what needed to be done, right down to those very numbers that are there. And because some of the changing nature of this, we've only been really dealing with them. One of the things that, there was a previous quote, I think it actually was part of one of my recent budgets request, was for like $210,000. And that would have been a full-blown engineered design and constructed garage outside of this dog pound. One of the biggest things that it saved us some money, if you look there, is the new garage structure is actually a little more than just a quote-unquote carport. It's a pre-engineered building. It, for all intents and purposes, will match the outward exterior appearance of what's there, but it meets all current town codes. I've checked with the building department, planning, zoning. They don't have any issues with it, but it really, and the building itself is warranted for snow loads and wind loads, but really is just a very shell of a structure. It itself, I think, has a 20-year warranty, but it really is not designed for industrial use that we would normally be, a building that we would normally.
Something like this, you mean?
Yeah, that's how the outside looks like, and the inside gives you an idea of what the beams look like. Here it's kind of, you get an idea, there's some photographs here. This is a big saving, this is less than $10,000 versus a building would be like around $30,000, everything said and done.
But it's not insulated or anything.
It's not insulated. I did travel and looked at one. There are companies, the blow-in foam insulation that they use now. Some folks are blowing foam in these things, so that might be an option that we could look at to make it a little more weatherproof.
But it would just be used for offloading the animal from the vehicle.
That's
and
correct.
then taking it inside.
That's
So,
correct, yeah.
okay.
It
would have electricity though for lighting, right?
yeah.
Okay.
It would have a fence connecting the two buildings.
Like a breezeway?
Like a breezeway that we may probably seal in just to reduce the wind
Yeah.
from blowing in between them and other things. But this really represents a big, significant cost savings, but also an approach that won't last forever.
Yeah.
Is the old foundation going to be demo?
You mean for the
The
garage?
slab, I think, would
Yeah.
come out. It really is, I think there's no way to recover it. We may end up putting back a concrete slab back there, because some of the space may, be useful for an outdoor area for the animals that needs to be paved.
Mhm.
But I think at this point, it would need to be coming out, because
We
it's
don't
just,
have outdoor space for animals there now.
it's no larger than your desks that are, behind the building.
Yeah. That's one of the things, if you build a new shelter, you have to have big, fairly large outdoor runs.
Individual ones. Some.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would suggest that we move forward and approve this with two contingencies. The first one being that we get a letter in writing from the state animal control chief that says this plan will satisfy their inspection criteria. And number two, that the town attorney just take a look at one more look. This is that Gordian company that came to us at the last meeting to explain, and the reason for the bid waiver is that this is one of the pre-approved through the state contractor packages where you could do a design build and save the cost of going out to bid. So you do it on the front end this way. So I would suggest that we approve it on those two contingencies that we.
Let me ask him a question.
Sure.
Right now, you got a garage, but you say we would save about 10, it costs around 10?
Probably, they cost about 10. I could say we're probably saving between $20,000 and $30,000. We,
The reason why I'm asking the question, this building's only good for 10 years. Would that be a better
Well,
approach?
I believe the building has got a 20-year warranty on it, Paul.
Okay.
I'm saying 10 years. I think the site itself has about a 10-year
Oh, okay.
lifespan. So this building would actually be a very good purchase, that it could be moved at a future date, when and if we, find a different location that's suitable for it. But in the municipal world, 10 years goes by and
Yeah.
it'll be there in 20 or 30 years. But for the price of it, we've been inquired of the wood buildings that are sold in town, and those are not a suitable replacement just
Right.
because the nature of their
Oh,
construction.
it's really a Sally port.
In cost, yeah. Here's
Yeah,
some
that's basically
photographs.
what it is. It's the-
And this is actually an example of the partnership. It was the Easy IQC people that came up with this. I saw the very inexpensive covers that Ferris uses over in Danbury behind their, I said, that's the kind of thing that we probably need just to have a little carport. And they came up with this company. It's actually a Connecticut company as well. So, but it is what it is. It's not a building that normally a municipality would be putting up. But on the other hand, we're not spending the money on geotechnical engineering and other foundation work.
Right.
The idea would be to install these on just some poured-in-place pilings and then asphalt underneath it. And if it settles, it's not going to be, catastrophic and be adjusted.
Okay, Matt, while we're going to the discussion stage here, I think your thoughts are correct, but let me ask you this. just to avoid this whole scenario, what if we contact City of Danbury and see, like, you know, Reading uses ours, if they
Yeah.
would be willing to allow Bethel to go in there at so much an animal or so much a day, whatever the going rate is.
And see if they have capacity too.
Yeah, if it's feasible at all.
Okay,
I think they've got the biggest shelter around, to my knowledge.
yeah. Yeah, it's right over there on Shelter Rock, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. I can check that out, and if that's the case, would you rather we table this to the next meeting before we vote, and then let me do that research, or do you wanna approve this
Yeah.
on contingency?
Yeah, that way we can look at it a little bit more and.
Okay.
and just,
All
you know,
right.
I hate to waive a bid, $83,000 bid, or it's almost $100,000 bid, without other,
Sure.
people
There's
bidding
no
on it.
timeline on this for acceptance, is there?
Well,
I mean,
there
we're
probably
talking about 2
is.
weeks.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing is that we've reached out to the state, we've given them some set of plans, we're very close
Yeah.
in process here. I would rather that everyone be on, all the stakeholders be on the same page, and everything, you know, at the end,
I think,
work out.
I think just within a week we'd have a,
Well, yeah, and what I'd like you to do also is ask the animal controls, the state animal control official for a letter, say, you know,
Yeah.
have,
So we can
I
have
can't remember
that,
her
yeah.
name, and have her review the design and just say, yes, this, because I don't wanna approve anything if they're gonna say, well, you didn't hit the mark, you know,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
all right, all right, we'll do that.
Okay.
You know, Doug, just in the future, I would like to see, you know, this is pretty much a design build type thing. And, you know, there's other local contractors in town that could probably also perform a job like this, but,
True, so with the process has been somewhat difficult, because we originally started off with an architect and
Right,
engineer.
right, but
and-
we-
and I pulled everybody back.
right.
So
Because
this-
that will make the numbers run up, but other companies can also do a design build type thing. I think we could look at that in future projects, but,
Absolutely, I'm
Yeah.
open and actually have a good relationship with a lot of different companies, so
Yeah.
we could talk about, you know, in the future, what,
I mean, because you got this number out here already, and,
Yeah.
you know, it wouldn't be
and
fair to
numbers are
anybody.
pretty much guaranteed, aren't they? That 80 or 90,
No, see, what's good about this contract is those are contract costs, unlike a bid when you go out.
right,
And then once you bid on it, then you have to, as I think when they were here discussing it, then you have to negotiate with the contractor. On this mechanism, when you go to their contract sheet over here,
yeah,
we could take any of those items off,
Off, right.
that exact value. So it's almost a menu-driven scenario. So if I
Right.
came up with a cheaper way to do that roof,
Yeah.
there's $25,000 right there
Yeah.
and that's the real advantage of this contract mechanism. And when you go out to bid, a lot of effort goes into the design, the bid, and then once you award a bid, you know, the contractor expects the full value.
yeah.
These guys here, this bid mechanism, that's a value
That's
representing of work, but it's all dependent on, and which is customer driven, each of those items. So there's things that if we change that we don't want to do
Yeah, that changes that dollar value.
without any discussion.
Right.
So again, it represents a lot of flexibility, which is excellent for this project. As Richie was saying, maybe not for all projects, but for this one here was a good fit.
Okay, well, I'll put a motion on the floor that we table this item pending discussions with neighboring towns and review by the state animal control officials. All right,
Second.
all right, any other discussion?
That's it.
Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries.
Can I just mention one thing?
Sure.
I don't think it's a problem, but I don't want anybody coming back later saying something. Probably about 15 or 20 years ago, I represented the owners of BMP. And what happened was, we sold to the outfit that has it now. So just so you know that, you know, I don't think it's a conflict, but just in case it comes back and says, oh yeah, I remember that Marty Lawler, you know, so,
Okay,
all right?
I wasn't, what's the?
Years ago, I represented BMP, many years ago. And what happened was they sold out to the principals that are involved right now.
In this,
And
board.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's been so long, I don't see it as a conflict, but in case it comes up.
Okay, so you're right, yeah, all right,
everybody knows.
making us aware, okay, good, thank you.
Okay.
All right, item number 7, Mr. Craddy is here as chair of the Energy Committee and is asking for a contract extension for Peregrine. Bill, I give you the floor and explain what we're doing.
Okay, Peregrine has been the town's engineer for the performance contract that MRS has been, had implemented. What we've discovered through all the course of this
Excuse me.
and working very closely.
Excuse me, Bill, where's this on the agenda?
Item number 7.
7?
It
Broken
said,
Symmetry Downtown Oktoberfest?
7.
7. That's what I just read. Consideration of approval for Broken Symmetry Downtown Oktoberfest.
I have
Tell me
that.
the agenda was changed. Is that what happened?
No.
Well, I got it right here.
Do you have another copy?
Well, I've
I'm
been
looking
writing
at the
on
one that
mine.
I received at my office. That's what I was reviewing today. This is the one you just handed out? Well, that wasn't on the original. So I don't know. When was this filed? May 6th? 2/42. Okay.
Good catch.
But
Right.
during the course of the contract, of the work, it was discovered there are a lot of issues with the controls of the HVAC within the schools. They've been there for a long time, and things were discovered such as at the high school, in the interior section that was constructed in addition in 72, I believe it was, that some of the air ducts weren't even connected to the system, this type of a thing, and Peregrine has been very helpful in identifying all those and pointing them out. Now, the Board of Education, school has entered into a contract with Peregrine to fix and work and clean up a lot of these problems. And what these problems caused, the first report we had, which was of where we stood versus the performance contract specifications, was back in December of 2017. The first full year of performance where the guarantees took effect was calendar 2018. And in that time, under the scoring mechanism of the condition of the controls and everything, we received about a 56% score against what was supposed to be 100%. And we've had Peregrine working in conjunction with the Board of Ed to make things efficient, is to address the issues that were short, that needed with town's responsibility on the performance contract with the Board of Ed to make improvements. We got the first full year of savings reports, and our score for the controls is now up to 88%, and we want to get up into the 90s and this type of a thing. So what we wanted to do is continue to be able to use this one entity, one person from Peregrine, who is the only one who really knows the details inside of all this necessity stuff, and is in contact with the Board of Education, work with them. We'd like to continue to work in conjunction to resolve the issues to improve the savings. The savings for the first year came in, we've saved versus the base year, $323,126 is the result, which exceeds the guarantee amount. But we can do better than that, and that's what we're looking to do, is to continue to improve the savings that we're getting, and feel it's necessary. We use them very efficiently. Occasionally, we don't use them all the time, but when we identify a need that we want to confirm or verify something within the controls, we want to be able to continue using Peregrine to help us do that. He works very well with the Board of Education. Dr. Carver's been very supportive, putting her foot down and mandating that the schools implement what they're supposed to be implementing in terms of controls. We found a lot of equipment was left overridden and running all the time, and she has put her foot down and said that's got to stop, these kinds of things. Bob Gennaro's been very good at working to clean these things out, but we still got a ways to go. So that's what we want to do. It's not a heck of a lot of money. It won't be a heck of a lot of money. I estimate maybe $20,000-$25,000 at most, you know, of need that we would have left. Maybe even not that much, but we do have a need to continue to use his services so that we can make sure we capture all of the savings that we can get. So that's what we're looking to do, is to be able to extend the contract.
What budget are they paid out of?
I don't know, but this was a setup for the energy budget.
Well, is their fee structured into the savings?
It was, yeah, it was to be paid out of the savings. We got the savings as the project was being implemented over the 2 or 3 years. It took time. All the savings that accrued to the town. We didn't have any obligation to pay anything. The only first obligation to make payments came once the project was declared finalized, which was January 1 of 2018. So it's been, I don't know what budget Bob applies it out of or takes it to. It might be, I know he's got some mechanism to do that.
With the work they're doing, they did the work on evaluating the high school boiler system, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they came up with, how is the Board of Ed paying them out of the 460 account, do you know?
Yeah, the Board of Ed is paying them for all their work out of their fund. I don't know what account number it is or anything, but the Board of Ed has a separate contract with them to actually work with the contractors,
Okay.
the mechanical contractors and the service contractors to do what they're supposed to do. He's also going to prepare if he hasn't done it already, the specifications documents for them to go out for bid to get a contractor. Heretofore, whenever there was a problem, we had a controls contractor and a mechanical contractor, and they would point, nobody take responsibility. He's moved in and knows this stuff and is making them take the responsibility, and is drafting my understanding is a process or specifications for the Board of Ed to go out for bid that would address those issues and make sure that they're under control.
Yeah.
So Bill, do you have a number, or how do you want to proceed with the extension of the contract?
I'd say not to exceed $25,000.
And I've been involved with not the boilers yet, but I've been involved with the air conditioning at the middle school, and I know Peregrine is working with the school system on that.
On the Board of Ed.
They've been very good, very responsive, and as you can see in this, they've above the measured savings by $36,000, and this is for what?
For
1 year.
This is the first year of our full year.
So.
And if you want to figure where those come from, this is the report that calculates all the savings.
I mean, I would support extending the contract, because we're only going to save more money in the long run. So,
and this,
I don't know if we need some kind of paperwork from them to make a motion, or just.
Marty's gonna put that.
Well,
Marty, do you need to produce something?
well, there's something here that says you attached a contract, didn't you?
well, we sent,
It's not here, that's
suggestion.
what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I can,
No, but I don't know if Dean's got it.
I included everything that I had.
okay, well, I will get that, because I sent it in, and I think I forwarded it on one of the emails to you,
Oh.
the language that suggested for
Was it
the,
an attachment, or was it
Yeah,
just an?
I think it was
Okay, I might have missed that if I didn't scroll down
No,
far
I
enough.
see, it says here that you sent,
Yeah.
the town's contract with Peregrine is attached. So, and then you just point out that there's a part in it that there's an extension. for the
yeah,
agreement. Okay.
Bill, how urgent is this? Like, would this kill anybody if it waited 2 weeks?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
And then Marty can review it.
Well, I want to get the contract, but I assume, I'm 98% sure that this their fee is just paid out of the same account that we pay Bank of America on, you know, we get the
Right.
rebates in and we pay Bank
Right.
of America on the lease. So I just wanna make sure that we have those numbers and the right
We're
account.
accountable.
Yeah, but I don't see a problem with this. Well, if this could, we can just table this for 2 weeks, I'll get that stuff
Yeah.
and then we'll be all set.
Yeah,
Well, it'd be interesting also to ask them, where's the 36,000 extra go to?
that's
Does
just
that-
a
does that
savings
go-
reduction in the utility. Now, this is against the base year.
Well, it would be against the utilities, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So-
base year was April 2013 through March 30, 2014 is what all the savings are compared against for the base year. So we have been accruing savings all along with the work. Once the lighting was in, the lighting's been in for more than 3 years.
Yeah,
So we've been accruing those savings, so.
Maybe what I'm trying to say is that we exceeded the graph for over the 15 years of the payback, so maybe is the 36,000 going towards paying it down quicker?
I don't know. That's how,
Well,
that
that's-
just,
yeah,
that just goes into the, that's a reduction in the energy
Yeah.
bill that the town pays.
okay.
Okay.
So that's what that is.
All right, well, I'll put a motion on the floor that we table to allow town council to review contract and town comptroller to provide budget information.
And want me to send that attachment to you, all right?
Is
Okay.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, any other comments? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great, thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
It's very helpful, and I apologize it's taken me so long to get this far. It's been,
Not a problem.
with budget stuff, it's been kind of,
But I just say, personally, I've been in the business for many, many years, and this person from Peregrine that does that, he comes down from Maine. He is probably the best one that I have ever run into in this
Oh, really?
industry for
Okay.
doing this stuff. He
Good.
is excellent. He
Good.
knows his stuff. He climbs inside of equipment to check it out. He just doesn't guess,
okay.
you know, so you can't get anybody better than him.
Good.
Great.
It's good to know that the whole Amoresco thing is paying off. That's-
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Aye.
All right, all right, those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 8, consideration of approval of Broken Symmetry Downtown Oktoberfest. I'm gonna ask that I was asked by Economic Development that we table that because they want to, they don't have a firm date yet on when the canopy is gonna be replaced, and they wanna make sure that there's no active construction, on the date. And just to give you an update on that, the problem is with Metro North. I actually had an opportunity, if you read the article in the paper, I spoke with the president of Metro North, Mrs. Rinaldi, and there is so much construction work on the Metro North line, they don't have enough trained flagmen under Federal Railroad rules to go around, so they're struggling to get us flagmen so we can start our project. That's the only thing that's holding us up.
Okay.
So I still don't have a date that they're gonna be able to supply that. So I'll just, I'll make a motion that we table this pending a future date.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, okay. Item number 9, consideration of appointment to Public Site and Building Committee. Paul, you wanna make that motion? Do you have the name?
No, I don't.
Oh, you didn't, get- okay,
I didn't get,
all right. That's the guy right there.
okay. Make a motion to appoint David Nostin.
Dan.
Oh, Dan, I'm sorry. Put the glasses on, Paul. Make a motion to appoint Daniel Nostin to the Public Site and Building Commission to replace the vacated seat of Josh Adams.
All right, I'll second. Any discussion? No? Those in favor?
Aye.
That carries. Congratulations to Mr. Nostin. I know the name, I think. I think he's written in on some issues before, but congratulations and welcome to town government. Okay, item number 10, consideration of an authorizing resolution which PUC sent up to us this is required to obtain a clean water fund financing for water pollution control. So I'll put this on the floor. This is just one of those resolutions that allows us to apply for it. Be it resolved that it is in the best interest of the town of Bethel to enter into contracts with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. In furtherance of this resolution, First Selectman Matthew Knickerbocker is duly authorized to enter into and sign said contracts on behalf of the town of Bethel, Connecticut. First Selectman is further authorized to provide such additional information and execute such other documents as may be required by the state or federal governments in connection with said contracts, and to execute any amendments, rescissions, or revisions thereto. For a Clean Water Fund application.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Second item, or the next item, number 11, consideration of a funding resolution to complete, sign, and submit a Clean Water Fund application to DEEP. So having authorized the first selectman, the next one is make a motion to give authorization for Public Works, or Public Utilities Director Thomas Villa to complete, sign, and submit a Clean Water Fund application to Connecticut DEEP. Total engineering cost for the sanitary sewer evaluation survey for sub-area 14 is $202,425.15. It is Clean Water Fund grant eligible, and therefore the fund grant will reimburse up to 55%, or $111,333.83. And those would be enterprise funds, not tax funds. So is there a second to that?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Item number 12, Mr. Craggy has already left, but he has a request to reduce the number of members of the Energy Committee because they're having a very difficult time getting a quorum. There are 3 members who have not shown up in more than a year. They will be asked to resign, but in the meantime, I want to thank the town attorney for his suggestion. The best way to handle this, seeing as how we can't remove people, is that we can establish, instead of a fixed number, we can say that the Energy Commission shall have no less than 5 and no more than 7 members. That way, even if he has 3 members who come to a meeting, or 4 members, or 3 members would be a quorum. So I'll put that motion on the floor that we establish the range of membership of the Energy Committee from not less than 5 to not more than 7.
Just 1 minute before it's seconded.
Yeah.
I thought I read something here that he said he had 8 members.
Yeah, we currently have 8 members.
Yeah.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, that committee got out of hand. People kept volunteering to.
Right.
I think maybe what you might want to do too is make the motion that it's between 5 and 8 members, but for quorum purposes, the number 5 is used for quorum purposes.
Okay, all
So
right,
what would happen is you only need 3 to have a meeting.
right. Okay, so I'll restate my motion to establish the range to not less than 5 and not more than 8 members, with the number 5 being the standard for quorum, establishing quorum. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second, yeah.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, side question on that. Do we have anything in the charter about this committee?
No, it's an ad hoc.
No.
Okay,
It's changed a little bit over the
Yeah.
years, but no, it's not a charter.
okay.
So it's probably something that we should send a charter and see if they want to consider
Right.
making it permanent. Consideration, item 13, consideration of acquisition of Lot 1, Long Meadow Lane. Do we need an executive session on this?
I don't think so, considering PUC said what the amount was and everything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's already out in the open.
all right.
There is, just so you know, I haven't gotten a response from him. He's had his clients, he being the other attorney, sign the contract, which you can see.
Yeah,
And he electronically sent it over to me, and I said at some point in the future we'll get the original signature, because I just wanted to get going on it. But what he did was, and Tom pointed this out, he cut off some of the information, cut off a portion of the contract. He cut off the portion that said that they would cooperate with the town in getting all the approvals, and a couple other minor things. So I have an email to him and saying, hey, what happened? What are you doing here? I don't think he did it on purpose,
Oh.
because he said that the contract that's submitted was fine to me. So I'm gonna try to get that straightened out, but other than that, I don't see a reason why we can't go forward.
okay, all right. Okay, then I'm gonna put a motion on the floor that we approve and forward to the Board of Finance for their approval, recommend the purchase of Lot 1, Long Meadow Lane in Bethel, Connecticut, in the amount of $198,000.
Second.
Okay, we've discussed this many
But,
months.
yeah.
Any other comments?
No.
Yeah, my comment is to the about the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
We need their approval to purchase this, Martin?
Even though it's PUC funds?
Yeah,
because
I'll read it for you. We need not only that, but we need a town meeting too. It says after referral to the Planning and Zoning Commission, recommendation by the Board of Selectmen, and approval by the Board of Finance, any sale, purchase, or non-emergency demolition of real estate in the town. That's under the section that requires special town meetings. That was changed the last time we did this. So that's why, because I screwed it up in the beginning, because I didn't think we had to have a special town meeting or anything,
Yeah.
you know, and then I went back and I read it again, and I said, oh, boy, that was changed, you know, so we gotta send it to them, we're not asking them for money.
Right,
We're
right.
just
But
saying
we
that
need
they
their
approve the
approval.
sale, and I believe we already had, a thing from planning and zoning,
Yes.
was already referred to, and they said it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, the 824 already came back.
So, and that's why they've got on here, Rich, too, about a special town meeting.
Okay, yeah, all right.
All right, so Board of Finance meets on the 14th, right?
The only question I had about the special town meeting is I kind of assumed that since Board of Finance is meeting on the 14th, if we gave ourselves, 2 weeks to take care of all the paperwork, we'd be looking at the 28th for the special town meeting.
Mhm.
If for some reason the budget fails, we would probably be looking at that same date for another referendum, is the only thing I was thinking that you would need to discuss.
Well, I think we should go ahead and set it.
Yeah, set it.
You can
and
always
if it-
change it if you
yeah.
have to.
Okay.
All right,
That's a good point.
okay, so did we vote on the amount?
I don't think so.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now make a motion that we establish a date of special town meeting on Tuesday, May 28th at 7 PM in meeting room A. For a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? No? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. All right,
Motion adjourned.
second. Any in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries, thank you.
Gotta go to sleep. I was gonna leave at 7:30. We made it.